25. Yeah. This is gonna be tough. I don't know. Sometimes you have a hard go over, right? And things you can't explain why, and you don't know what's going on, and you're not looking for sympathy, and you're not looking for anything, and you don't know who to talk to, or how to approach the subject, or what the problem actually is, and you know something's not right in your head, and you kind of get caught up in yourself, and you kind of get caught up in your own world. You don't know what to do, and you don't know how you got there. And there's days where you just don't want to, and you don't want to go outside, or you don't want to go shovel a walk, or you don't want to even turn the TV on, or you don't want to do certain things, and you just sit there, and you get into the abyss, and you scroll through your phone, because your phone's your safe space, and the analytics that come up, and your algorithms, I guess they'll tell you what you want to see and what you want to hear, and all's good in the world. But in reality, there's times when it's not. And I it's really like, I don't know what it is, but and what I don't know the exact, because I'm not, maybe I should go to a shrink, I don't know. But there's times when I just don't want to, um I just don't want to. And it comes from a lack of self-esteem at times. It comes from just things growing up that you remember, that you thought were maybe good, but then you look back and maybe they weren't so good, and you're lonely at times, and you wonder why, and you wonder what happened, and you don't know why. And you blame yourself, and you don't want to blame anybody else, and you don't want to blame the environment, you don't want to blame anybody, and it's nobody's fault. It's just how people are wired. And the 7 3/8 between my ears, it never really turns off. And that's a problem. How I just can't turn things off, and um, I can't just let things go, I guess. And that comes to, there's just a lot of things. You talk about, like, growing up, how I did, and I had a great childhood. My parents were fantastic and gave me everything that they could possibly give me to do anything that I wanted to do. I've had a pretty crazy life, and a crazy upbringing, different things that I did that were pretty cool. But I've said it before, and I'll start here. When I first my earliest memories playing sports, and I've said this before here on the show, that I I loved playing, but it was never fun. And it was always more, and I always wanted it to be more. I don't know if at a young age, being a professional athlete was a thought process, but it was never fun, and I've never had fun. I've enjoyed things, but it was never fun. And that's the biggest thing for me, is how it just never was never fun. And I don't know why. And you get in your own head a lot about things not being fun. And I'm not saying that I don't have fun in my life, because I do, but is it masked by other things? And you try a little bit too hard to make things fun, and you go above and beyond. And it gets harder and harder the older you get. And then you start thinking about when you're young, and like, I had friends and acquaintances, but there was a time that I spent a lot of time on my own. I had a lot of teammates, right? um I spent a lot of time by myself, and I still do. And is that a me thing? Yeah. uh I suffer. Like, I suffer from conversations, and I know it sounds odd, considering the job that I have, and I have a podcast, and just things, but it's everything I can do at times to do this, because the fear of rejection is so debilitating at times. And the fear of rejection has always been a thing since I was young. And being rejected is it's hard, and it's not just by my family or my peers, but it's by people I don't know. And the want to be so accepted by everybody makes me push away a little bit, and it makes me push away from people that I shouldn't be pushing away. And I have, and it makes things tough. Like, just last night, I went to the grocery store, and I don't know what was worse. Just in between my ears, was having somebody recognize me, or no one recognizing me. And that's where I am. I don't know which is worse, whether I want to talk about my job or the podcast or the Bulls or whatever, or I don't, because I don't want to talk to people at times, or most of the time, I just don't want to, and it's really getting tough, and it comes back like when I was a kid, there was the fear of rejection and not being as in front of it as you thought you were, and not having some friendships that I because I didn't have a ton of friendships. Like I said, I had a lot of teammates, but I never spent time staying over at people's houses, and I never spent time um, just hanging out. I never spent a bunch of time doing that. I was so focused on trying to play hockey or baseball or winning or whatever it might have been. I didn't have a ton of friends. I had acquaintances, and like I said, I had teammates. And then at some point, you had some friends, but you don't know for what reason. They were probably good reasons. You don't know where those friendships go and how they are, and it's tough. And then being a kid, and it kind of piles on you after a while. And then you move away, and then you lose touch with people, and you come back, and they're not your friends; they're your acquaintances again. And it's tough being not rejected, but not. And like I said, it's not anyone's fault. It's more my own than anybody else's. By the fear of being rejected has made me push away from people because I don't want that feeling. So it's just easier that way for me to say things that than for them to not like me. And yeah, it's tough. And you I had when I was going into grade 11, going to grade 11, I had a friend commit suicide. And Clint he was a friend of mine. Like, we hung out, and we played sports together, and we were buddies. And the night he killed himself, I was supposed to go somewhere with him. We were supposed to go to the South Country Fair or something. I think it was in Fort McLeod. It was after I was washing dishes at the grandparents' restaurant, and I kind of, I don't. I said I truly just didn't want to go. It was late, and I wasn't a drinker back then. I didn't. It was grade 11, so it doesn't matter. But I just didn't want to. And that night was the night that Clint committed suicide, and I blamed myself for a long time, because maybe if I would have went, he wouldn't have done that. I'll never know. Like, I'll never know if he would have or not. And when that happened, that really affected me, because I was going away to Notre Dame after that summer, and so I blame myself for that. And and so I don't know if that's why my fear of rejection for everything, because like, he went away, and I was like, that really sucked. But then you made got some people became my friends after that, like, there was just some different things. And I didn't really have a bunch of friends my age, in my grade, my age group, just different interests and different things. They were friends, like I had, they still talk to them today. But it's just the fear of rejection is so debilitating to me, and the fear of not being liked and not being accepted. And so I overcompensate with things, and I try to do too much. And so at times, just with my job, the podcast, just with life in general. So I try to do too much, and I end up doing nothing sometimes. 25 times nothing is nothing. And just for me to talk about this is tough. And the space between your ears is tough. And you don't know what to do, because you can't really change who you are. I can't change the fact that I don't want to go, I don't want to do something, or I can't talk to a person, or I can't follow up on a thing, because I'm so afraid of rejection. And it's just part of life, but it's worse than that. You're so afraid of that pushback, or I am. And it is, it is kind of funny. Like, it is remarkable that you do a podcast, and you hope and pray that it catches on, and people listen, but they don't. And that it can hurt, but it that doesn't stop me, I guess. I don't know. It's an odd set of circumstances that I have that just keeps me going. Like, there's times where, like, I just don't want, I just can't bring myself to go to places, or I can't do something. I just don't want to, because I'm just so afraid of rejection and confrontation, and you get between your own ears, so you just don't do it. and then you don't reach out to people and you don't talk to friends. You don't because you don't know what they're thinking, if they think you're an idiot or whatever it might be. And then so you get in your own head about how it all works, and it probably isn't right, but you can't do anything about it. And that fear of rejection has probably cost me friendships. It's probably cost me opportunities. It's cost me because I don't want to go to the next level. It's easier to just not try than it is to succeed and to just maybe make the phone call or send a text message or whatever it might be, or send an email out, because I'd rather just it not happen than to be rejected. Fear of success, maybe. I don't know. I definitely have a fear of success because I don't know how it would go, that if something I got to another level in whatever I might be doing, that there might be more people who want to talk to me and more people who want to be around me, or there'd be less or more people judging how you act, and it's scary, and I don't know how to go about doing it. Fear of rejection, and it goes back from being a kid. Like I remember, and I can't remember who the two guys were. I can't recall, but um, I was trying to be one of the cool guys, hang out with some older guys, and I don't remember who they were. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to name names anyways. But they kind of made a hand signal towards me because I was kind of following them around the arcade in Fort McLeod, and they called me a leech, and that sticks with me to this day. Like I was just trying to fit in, I was just trying to be a cool guy or whatever it might have been. And these guys were a couple of years older than me. They called me a leech, and they made some goofy hand signal. I remember it. And ever since that day, you kind of like, that sucks, man. So then it's just easier to go home and hang out by yourself. And I did a lot as a kid. I did that a ton as a kid. I'm not saying I didn't have friends that I played sports with that weren't buddies, but not a lot. Looking back, there was three or four that you hung out with a lot at a certain age group, and then three or four that you hung out with a lot in another age group, and then that was it. But then you just the stuff that, like, you hang out with yourself a lot because it's safe. And is it lonely at times? Yeah. But with the magic of, the internet and YouTube and everywhere else, I can occupy my time. But it's debilitating at times where I just can't. And I don't know, like, and then when something good happens, you want to yell from the rooftops that something's cool. But like, if no one's listening, it's better to keep it quiet to yourself. Because if people, and this is just a me thing. I'm not crying. I'm just saying how it is. Like if you do say something that happened was cool and nobody cares, that's worse. But if you keep it to yourself and no one knows, then it doesn't. Then they won't ignore you, right? If that makes any sense. So if you just keep something quiet to yourself, it's easier because you won't be disappointed in their reaction. You say it all the time. A pat in the back is only 3 feet from kicking the ass, and you seem to get kicked in the ass a lot more than ever for whatever reason. It's tough. Like I have a neighbor that I've known for a long time. It I I for lack of a better term, I hide to not have to talk to him because I don't know what to say, or I don't know what he's got going. Like I don't know what to do. I duck and dodge in the grocery store. I duck and dodge in the mall. Even yesterday in Fort McLeod, I just couldn't bring myself to going down to where the bulk of the people that were watching the parade were with my mom. Watch the whole thing and kind of hit a little bit because I just couldn't get myself to do it. You have your safe spaces, obviously, but it's tough being around. Like and I don't know how to go about fixing it, but you keep trying and you keep going, just like Jim at the fan of the van, how he kept going. And thank God he did. But it's tough, And that fear of rejection it's tough. And like I said, like that time back before I went into the summer grade 11, when my friend killed himself, that was a major turning point for me. And I'm not blaming myself. I did for a long time, but that's, there's other things going on when a guy kills himself that's out of my control. But that was a major in my life. And did it change the outcome of my life? I don't know. But that fear of rejection stems from all that. And getting to that next level and everything that I've ever done, and playing junior hockey and going to pro umpire school and being part of the baseball world now, and on it goes in the world of sports, and you wonder if I had a little more self-confidence where it might have been if I didn't have that fear of rejection that I do. I have a complete fear of rejection, and it sucks a lot, and it sucks the life out of me sometimes. You have great ideas to do things, and you just can't, because you just don't want it to fail. And you don't want it to not succeed. And you don't even try, because someone might make fun of you, or someone might and I know it sounds childish, but you're allowed to have feelings. And I do. And that's it. But anyways, I thought that was tough for me to talk about. For those of you who are suffering from mental health, man, it's tough. You can talk to people, or if you can't, start a podcast, it's talking to the oblivion. Because that's all this is. I'm just talking to the abyss. I don't know who's going to listen to this. I don't know who's going to reach out to this. I don't know if anybody's going to reach out, or I'm not asking you to do it. I just had to get something off my chest. If somebody has some advice for me, or someone wants to go for a beer one day and BS about this, I'd love to. But anyways, that's the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. For Beer Sports Talk and a whole lot more. This segment was brought to you by, this show brought to you by SeatGeek.com and the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420SEAT at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20. And by our friends over there at Righteous Felon Jerky. Here's the show for today. Thanks everybody for listening and watching up on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you need a person to talk to, I'm here. Like, I don't know what advice I can give you after I just poured my heart out a little bit. I had a lot more to say, but that's enough for today. I mean, that's a little bit more than I was tending to. But anyways, have yourselves a great Sunday. Enjoy the games if you're watching football. I'm not trying to deter anybody. And we'll get back to you. Hoping we can convince Deanne to do that show tomorrow night and keep this crazy train rolling. Anyways, have yourselves a great afternoon, and we'll talk to you all later. And remember, it doesn't matter where you are. It's who you're with. Have a great day, folks. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for tuning into the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. For Beer and Sports Talk and a whole lot more, brought to you by SeatGeek. Go to bellyupsports.com for the best of sports articles and podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel or wherever it is you get your podcast. Let's get in.